Welcome to the Think Deep podcast, where we talk all things deep. I'm your host, David Dilworth, and I got my main man, Steven Jensen, with me today. What is up, man?
Another day, man. Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, no problem. It's, I think, I really, there's just some things, when friends talk and that chemistry just mashes up. So I was like, you know what? I like having Steven on as, a regular guest on here. I don't know. It's just like, sometimes we have these conversations and it's just like this mental high five,
I agree. I love it.
So what's going on, man, with you? What's going on in Steven's world? He's got, for the viewers out there who don't see, he has an awesome NWO shirt on. I'm a little bit jealous because my shirt is not as awesome. It's pretty awesome, but not NWO awesome.
Yeah, Dave, you got those Atlanta Falcons repping on your shirt.
Whoop, whoop. Preseason, first game won. Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl. Well, the Vikings won as well, my team, so that was nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing a New World Order shirt right now. For anyone who wants to see what I look like in it, you can actually check it out on Twitter. I just recently posted a pic at NOW_WORLD_ORDER at now_world_order. YouTube, Twitter, same thing. Anyways, I'll keep going.
Damn, that was pretty smooth.
Yeah, that was a good transition into a free plug for myself. For any wrestling fans out there, tonight is Monday Night Raw, which I'll be watching directly following this podcast. And they are strongly hinting at a NWO reunion of sorts, which is really cool for anyone, especially if you were a fan, in the mid to late 1990s. It's Hulk Hogan's, I believe it's his 61st birthday today, and he's confirmed for the show. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash all week on Twitter have been kind of hinting that they're going to be in town for Raw. So that's kind of where the excitement and my shirt choice come in today.
Nice. Viewers can't see it, but I have some shoes that look like they have gills in honor of Shark Week. Because Shark Week started on Sunday. It's fucking awesome. Were you a shark fan growing up,
Yeah, they were one of my favorite animals. I liked drawing them too, back when drawing was something like everyone did as a child.
Yeah.
I will say though, I don't know the best way of getting it out there. Maybe if you put it on your Twitter and I retweeted it, but you gotta get that picture that you put on Facebook out there of you wearing. There's this picture of Dave out there on Facebook for anyone that happens to be a friend of his, where he's wearing possibly the most fanboy shark outfit I've ever seen. It's glorious.
Imagine if Wilford was black in a shark outfit. That's how I look.
Exactly. That's a great description.
A complete onesie of a grown-ass man in a shark outfit. Yeah, I was over a friend's house last night, and, this is her description, okay? Not mine. That Shark Week is her Christmas. And I was like, isn't it kind of like Hanukkah? Because it's a week long, She's like, good point. But, and so I, when I came, when I pulled into her door, because there's this little gate you have to go through, and then the whole, you can't go through a certain part of the gate, you have to come down and meet you. So as I'm waiting for her to come, she goes, "Are you ready for this?" I'm just thinking, oh, shit. And she comes down, and she's in a full, shark outfit, this onesie thing. And I was just I just couldn't do anything but laugh. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is, you're the real deal. I walk in, everything is shark themed. She has little pictures on her mirror. She's got surfboards with bites in them and everything like that. And she's like, it'd be a good idea if you tried this on. And I started saying, what would the Dos Equis guy do? Probably not put this on. But for some reason, after a couple of drinks, I was feeling it. And so I changed into that bad boy, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, damn, I am a sexy beast. And she said she was going to take it and put it on Facebook. And I was like, no way. How about we just make this our little secret? But somehow she got a hold of my phone, and so she went ahead and put the picture on there. And all the likes and comments that I got, I was just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna leave it up. And so I'm a pretty confident man in my little shark onesie, and I've learned to embrace it.
I mean, it looks pretty badass. So I could definitely. I mean, I think it's a great picture of you.
Hey, you know how hard it is to button something up with fins?
No, I actually don't.
You don't. You're like proudly.
There's actually there's a professional wrestler out there called Shark Boy. I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of this guy, but he's been a wrestler for he's been around for probably 10 to 15 years. He's never really wrestled for like the WWE. He's wrestled like dark matches, but he was in TNA wrestling for a long time. If you ever want to take a look at a guy that looks pretty awesome in a full shark costume, check out Shark Boy. It's pretty incredible. This guy's made a career dressing up like a shark in professional wrestling, which is a feat in itself. So,
yeah, I bet his parents disowned him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Shark Boy's parents, Shark Dad and Shark Mom, think too fondly of him or not for going into that industry. But to have a real shark out there fighting human beings in the squared circle is pretty bold. So
that would be awesome. Saw it in real life. You know what I was thinking? So while we were watching the Shark Week, they had like this drinking game that we looked up. And the drinking game was anytime a shark goes airborne, take a drink. Anytime there's some guy with an Australian accent, take a drink. What was the other one? It was anytime someone gets killed by a shark, take a drink. If anybody tells you how to survive a shark attack, take a drink. I was like, seems like every documentary about sharks or something on the Discovery Channel. So we pretty much got wasted, hence me putting on a shark outfit. But the one thing I guess that I did notice a lot is there's a lot of repeated footage when it comes to sharks. I was thinking, why isn't there more footage? And I was like, I guess there's not like a lot of people out there with camera phones of the ocean. Well, I mean, if they are, but that's a rare moment itself. So I was like wondering, like, maybe the future when there's like drones everywhere, we're going to see like a lot more shark footage. That we can Google on the internet, because it's strange that in 2014 there's still all these different shark mysteries.
Yeah. I don't mean to burst anyone's bubble, because I understand how big Shark Week is to so many people, but I don't really get that into it personally. I like the animal, the sharks, but I think, I don't know what footage they show. I know when I watch bits and pieces of Shark Week, I wind up seeing a lot of the same stuff every year, and that's kind of why I'm not probably as into it as I was maybe even just a few years ago. But y'all need to check out, if you haven't, and if this isn't a part of Shark Week, I'm not even sure. But there's a show called Life. It used to be on BBC, and it was on Discovery Channel for a while. They re-narrated everything with Oprah Winfrey, but I think it's better with the British commentary. I have it on Blu-ray, and that is some of the most incredible footage, because they do all the different animal species.
Yeah.
And it's the span of like 5 years with super high-definition cameras. So they get to like the bottom of like the deepest oceans out there. Stuff like you wouldn't even believe that these creatures even exist. Like they sound completely made up. But I would encourage anyone out there that's interested, especially in sharks and stuff like that, like to check that whole series out. Really, it's phenomenal.
Man, see, I'm not like the biggest Shark Week fan, but after I went yesterday, and my friend, she was just like, it was so big to her. I couldn't help but just be embracing the whole Shark Week thing. I'm talking cheesy movies. I mean, if anybody has seen Sharktopus, that's the best piece of trash that's out there. And I say that with a badge of honor, okay? It's so cheesy, it's hilarious. Half shark, half tentacles. Have you seen this, Sharktopus?
No, I've heard a little bit about it. I want to say say there's something called Sharknado also.
Sharknado,
right?
I saw that too. There's a Sharknado 2. That's a surprising thing. There's a Sharknado 2. And like the Sharktopus has Urkel like as like this military guy.
Jaleel White,
Yes.
the guy who played Steve Urkel.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh man.
I used to be so into Family Matters when I was a kid. I had the Steve Urkel. It was like for lack of better words, it was a doll with the drawstring. and
Yeah.
it did like all of his phrases. And like, did I do that? And,
Oh, I
like,
remember that. I didn't have one, but I remember seeing that.
oh yeah, I had. That's still sitting somewhere in the depths of a storage room at home in Marietta, Georgia, somewhere.
That's got to be a collector's item.
I hope so. I'd like to believe so. That guy, for no other reason that guy fell off the face of the earth after that role.
Yeah. I mean, did you watch it during the whole TGIF type of thing when they used to have that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was like that and Step by Step.
Step by Step was the shit. Cody,
Yeah.
like the coolest dude on the planet.
Was Cody was the he was the brother, right? Or was he like the step? There was a guy who lived like next door that like was.
I think he lived in his van.
Or something. What's that?
I think he lived in his van, like on the property of the house where the show took place.
Yeah, is that who you're talking about? That character?
Yeah.
Yeah, the actor's name was like Sasha something or other. I remember that.
What?
Because yeah, that was a good show though. I remember Step by Step with the dad was a big time actor from some other show too, like Dallas or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Suzanne Summers, Thigh Master.
Was that too? Yeah, Suzanne Summers. Yeah.
Wow. She was some hot stuff for a minute. Thigh
Hell yeah.
Master.
Hell yeah, she was. She was on infomercials and stuff in the '90s. She was like selling like workout equipment to people and shit.
She had yoga pants before yoga pants existed. You know?
Yeah.
They were a little bit thicker. I like the thinner ones now. But
Yeah, I'm a big fan myself.
Oh man. One thing I didn't tell you about, man. I went to the Oddball Comedy Festival in Tampa. They're touring around the U.S. Louis C.K. was the headliner. Aziz Ansari, I saw him. He was there. He came on before Louis C.K. Chris Hardwick from Talking Dead and G4. Hannibal Buress. If you guys haven't seen Hannibal Buress, he is a great comic. He reminds me of kind of like the Black Mitch Hedberg. Like, he just has this slow delivery. On paper, it wouldn't be funny, but just the way that he says it, it's just hilarious. And man, that was awesome. It was some good comics. Mark Maron was there. It was so many good comics that Mark Maron came on second. I'm just like, he's kind of a big name. How is he second? But like, it was a good show.
That sounds awesome. I saw something on Facebook, like some people I know. I just noticed that they were seeing Aziz Ansari and Louis C.K. What was the name of the guy who sounds like Mitch Hedberg?
Hannibal Buress.
I gotta check him out. Mitch Hedberg was my favorite comedian.
Oh, you're gonna love Hannibal.
Yeah.
Hannibal, like he's gonna be the next big thing. Like that guy, he used to open up for rock concerts and get booed as a stand-up because no one was there to see comedy. So he really like sharpened up his skills, and like he's really good. He was really like improvising when you're out there because it was like thunder and lightning, and he was like, this thunder makes my jokes more epic. And he would tell a joke, and thunder would go off. He'd be like, yes! And it was just like, he was just feeding off the whole thunder crowd. But yeah, he was great. He was great. Aziz was really good too.
I believe it. You know, I know he's more well known for like being like an actor, like in like comedy shows, right? I mean, I know he's like in movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
But I've seen his stand up, and I've always thought he was talented. Obviously, Louis C.K. he's probably the most successful comedian out there right now, I would think, as far as like putting stuff out there and making money off of it.
Yeah, he's always putting out new shit, man. He's good.
Yeah, he's got his own TV show too on FX, right, or FXX, one of the two.
It's a really good show.
Yeah, good for that guy, man. Because he seems like the most normal guy ever. And like that, like, you know, we're just clever enough to, you know, he's obviously super clever, but like he comes off as just like that every guy, you know.
And he does that whole show on FX on his MacBook Pro. Like he writes it, he does the editing. It's not a lot of people involved like people think. He had another show on HBO and he felt like it wasn't a show he wanted because he didn't really have control over it. So this one is all him, and it's amazing how much work he does. And he has 2 kids. He's always talking about his kids in his stand-up. Uses them in the shows. I mean, he's just like this dad that's like, you know, this one of the best stand-up comics that are out there, which is something that I admire, that he puts in all that work.
Good. It's good to know that he's doing well.
Mm. So, have you seen this whole thing about Tony Stewart ran over some kid and killed him?
I saw that happened. Once again, I haven't. It takes something that, I mean, not that that isn't interesting. I'm not saying that at all, but like it takes like, if it isn't like MMA related and I see it on Facebook, I'm probably not going to click on it. Like it was a real thing though, that Tony Stewart thing. I saw people posting stuff about it.
Yeah, someone showed it to me at work. I was like, damn. Like, at first, because the way somebody explained it to me is that I guess someone was pissed at what Tony Stewart did. Tony Stewart comes back around the track and run him over. I was like, man, Tony Stewart's a dick. And then I saw the video, and it was just like, I don't know. I think that guy had it coming. Because the guy got out of his car and started yelling in, like, the middle of the track. And it was just like, okay, there's, like, cars going 200 miles per hour. That may not be a good move. And it wasn't like it looked like he slowed down and aimed for him. It was just like, it just came across. And it was just like, man, the guy got ran over. And someone told me that he died. And, like, Tony Stewart, I guess he raced the next day. And people were like, well, maybe he shouldn't have did that. But that was, and it wasn't even like his normal NASCAR thing. It was like those, I don't know what they're called. They're like smaller cars with, like, the big spoilers. They're, like, huge. But apparently he races in those too, and like some kid he ran over. Like, I mean, it wasn't like it was like a 12-year-old or nothing, but I think it was like 20 or something. But oh man, that was disturbing.
From what you just described, I mean, once again, I'd have to see it, I guess, but like it sounds like the guy probably deserved it if he got out of his vehicle and he was in the middle of a racetrack and it happened. Like when I read that article, I thought maybe he ran over someone while he was just driving around, like as like a civilian, but I didn't know all that. So yeah, the guy probably had it coming if he was out on the track during a race. But
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, who does know? Speaking
of crazy shit, I got some MMA related news people might be interested in.
What's up, man?
So are you familiar? I gotta find the woman's name. It's ongoing right now. Like okay. I'm kind of trying to keep up with what's happening. There's a fighter. He's a very controversial fighter called War Machine.
Okay.
Like he's legally changed his name to War Machine. His real name's like John Copenhaver.
Yeah, he was on Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, he's been on Rogan's podcast, right? Yeah. This guy, he's married, or not married. He was living with this porn star. I think it's called Christy Mack. I want to say is her name. Oh, I'm gonna double check that right now before I like totally slander someone.
Christy Mack is some hot stuff. How do I know? But
Christy Mack, yeah, she's got like half like a shaved head.
Yeah, a lot of tattoos.
Yeah. Okay, so it's ongoing. Anyone who wants to kind of follow this story on Twitter, because even when you listen to this afterwards, it'll probably still be going. Christy Mack's Twitter is at CHRISTYMACK, at Christy Mack, just like how it sounds. And then War Machine, because they're kind of tweeting as this is happening. Yeah. Like, War Machine is at MACHINE 170. So that's at War Machine 170. So basically, the story is that War Machine was coming home to surprise Christy Mack with an engagement ring. And she didn't know he was on his way to their house. And Christy Mack is saying they had been separated since May. So, like, they weren't together. So the stories aren't really matching. But an unidentified male was at Christy Mack's house when War Machine showed up.
Yeah.
And long story short, War Machine allegedly beat the shit out of this other guy and Christy Mack, like beat the shit out of both of them. And he's MIA right now. There's a $10,000 reward out on him. Like no one can find him. Yeah, he's been missing for a couple of days. And there's very, very strong rumors that the unidentified man is also a former UFC fighter and current Bellator fighter. So the FBI and everyone's like doing like all this investigation, and they said they found like a ton of blood throughout Christy Mack's house. And War Machine is claiming, or people are speculating that it's War Machine's blood. Like maybe there was like a big fight, but they're saying none of it's War Machine's blood. So and Christy Mack is claiming that she was stabbed by him, that he kicked her with like an MMA kick, like to the side, like punched her face in. She posted pictures of herself on Twitter
Whoa,
with like
I gotta check this out.
broken bones in her face. What's that?
I gotta check this out. Christy Mack, she got
Christy
pictures on
Mack.
Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, she posted pictures of her face. This happened on Friday, I believe. But now it's becoming a big thing because like now it's like out there in the public and people are looking for War Machine. But this fucking guy, whether or not he's completely innocent or completely guilty, this guy
shit! I see the photos. Oh my god, she got fucked up.
Yeah, picture. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's the first thing on Twitter.
With that picture, she puts her side of the story on Twitter in another picture. So anyone out there can read her side of it. War Machine still hasn't, once again, he's actually been tweeting since he's been missing. So, like, he's out there, like, talking about how he doesn't want to turn himself into police and, you know, he doesn't think he'll get a fair, you know, everyone is proven or guilty innocent until proven guilty. He feels like there's no way that's going to be the case with him, yada, yada, yada. So he's out there on $10,000 reward money. So if anyone out there happens to be listening and haven't caught him yet, you know, War Machine's out there. So
I know, man. It's gonna be tough to defend your case when a judge is like, "So War Machine, what happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's already been fired by Bellator MMA. So like he's already lost his job. And
damn, man,
this guy has such a bad track record. Like he's been in and out of jail, in and out of porn. Like, not that there's anything wrong with that industry, but it doesn't make you look good in the eyes of a lot of people. Like he's been in and out of that. He has like a history of doing shit like this, and he's been given multiple chances to like he's gotten into public fights, and it's like the guy just does not have his shit together in the fucking slightest. So this isn't even surprising, unfortunately, for a guy like that. But
this is so sad. I mean, she's got like 2 black eyes. Her lip is busted. I mean, she was a beautiful girl. She looks messed up. Her ass, like right where her thigh meets her ass, is this big ass bruise and a cut on it. Looks like he like leg kicked her or something in the thigh or something. Oh my god, this is bad.
I think she's claiming that he kicked her in that spot that you're talking about on her leg.
She had a nice ass too. It's just fucking bruised and lumpy now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one thing to hit a woman, which obviously, like, no matter what the circumstances, society is going to absolutely frown on that, no matter what happened. But when you are a professional mixed martial artist and you do it, that's another level of you should be in way more trouble because you are a fucking lethal weapon.
Yeah.
And you should not be hitting women ever for any reason.
Man, what it is, there's some dudes that are like that, you know, if I can't have you, no one can, and like, man, those are some scary dudes. Those are some broken humans.
Yeah, well, and War Machine is like, I mean, it's funny even saying that name because it's so ridiculous that someone would name themselves War Machine legally, but like, this guy, it's one of those sad cases too where like, people have given him so many damn chances, and guys like Joe Rogan have associated their name, like the fact that I bring up John Copenhaver or War Machine and you know who he is and you're like, oh, I remember seeing him on the Rogan podcast. Like, it's sad that Rogan even has to be associated with someone like that.
Yeah.
But like, this guy is just, like, it's almost sad because like he thinks that like his bad luck is not like a result of him. Like, he feels sorry for himself. Like, oh, here comes another. Just when I thought I was catching a break, this happens, and it's like, dude, you're probably the reason all this shit happened. Like, you seem like a terrible fucking person, you know. Like, maybe you need to change, you know.
Man, there's a lot of people. I don't know. I've met like that in my life when they're always thinking like, oh man, nothing ever happens for me. If I fucking, like, was in the right situation and I knew this fucking guy got lucky, this guy knew somebody. It's like, dude, like, no one in this life is obligated to help anybody, all right? You have to take reality and grips in your own hands. And those people are always, you're saying, you know, blaming everything on them. like it's just gross to be around. And I feel like it just takes away from me there, because if you don't surround yourself with people doing kind of positive things, you're going to do that same type of behavior. And those guys just always bitter, this and that. And when something doesn't go their way, here you go. Here's a result here. I mean, are you surprised there's another dude there? Well, you know, that she's a porn star. But then again, let's not judge porn stars there. But the fact is if someone is not interested in you or anything that goes on like that, there's some men that respond aggressively. You just have to learn that maybe for some reason, and I can't explain it, her genes are not compelled to you. and there's someone out there, there's actually a lot of people out there. I don't, this, if you believe on there's one person from you, whatever, but there's other people who have this connection and this energy, and their genes are compelled to you. So if you waste your time trying to force some connection that's not even there, you're just going to be frustrated the whole time and arguing over little petty shit. And a bad relationship, I know for me, like it holds me back mentally. Like you don't grow as a person, and you don't realize like how much you're being held back until you get out of that. And because you're always kind of caught up in your own bullshit. Where's she going? Where's she doing? What dude is she hanging out with? Man, if you're worrying about that stuff, you shouldn't be hanging out, especially proposing.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything you just said, you know? And I've seen way too many people, like it happens far too often where like you can tell, like I hate when girls tell stories about like how they met their boyfriend, like when girls talk to other girls at work and you just happen to be like around and overhear it. Like half of them were like, yeah, I didn't even like him when we first started going out. Like he just kept asking me out, and you know, we went to dinner, and now we're married. You know, and I'm like, you're not gonna, you're either not gonna be married forever or you're cheating on the guy. Like, what do you mean you didn't like him? You weren't attracted to him? Like, really? You know what I mean? If you weren't attracted to that person, you're marrying them for their money, or you're marrying them because you're so pathetic you can't be alone. But you know, how could you be with someone forever that you don't like? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
And you know, there's a lot of dudes that feel like women are like this one size fits all type of thing, and it's so contrary to that. Women like this, man. There's so many women, whether it be in the bedroom or outside the bedroom, where something is cool with one woman and not cool with the other. And that's why I think it's so important to date. I think a lot of people get in relationships out of scarcity. They haven't dated anybody for a long time. Somebody bats their eyes and says, okay, I'll go out with them. And then they try to force that connection so much because they're dating out of scarcity instead of abundance. Because when you kind of, you have women that you have friends with, you have women that you're dating, you kind of understand a little bit more what kind of connects more with me. Because when you date out of scarcity, you try to like put this person on a pedestal more than what they are because you don't want the sex drug to go away. And that can really cloud someone's mind. And so that's why I think that dating is just so important, just to understand that the realization that women are different. There's kind of like there's all these universal truths that are so untrue. Like there may be one dude that's like a sports guy and it's like, you know, well, you know, the women's coming in the room here, we got to change it to Real Housewife. No, there's some chicks that are really into sports. I know some chicks that are into sports more than dudes, and it takes to kind of put yourself out there and to date other women to realize that there are women that do connect on a level that you think that you're odd. Trust me, there's a woman out there who's just as odd as you.
Yeah, I'm not settling for anything less than the first. Well, not the first, but you guys know where I'm getting at this. Anyone who knows me at this point, if you're not into like pro wrestling or MMA, like if you're not okay with me being completely obsessed with it, I have no interest in dating you. Yeah. Like if you're like any serious girlfriend that I've ever had hasn't necessarily been a wrestling fan. I'm not expecting to like change lives here and like make girls, you know, love this stuff. But any girl I've ever dated seriously knows that I will be watching Raw on Monday night, every Monday. That's the one thing every week that is constant. I will always watch my pro wrestling on Monday night. They can do whatever they want aside from fuck around on Monday night. But I'll be watching wrestling. And in exchange, I'll do some silly shit that I don't have any interest in. Like, I'll fucking go look at flowers or something. But on Mondays, as long as I get my pro wrestling, I'm happy. But there are girls out there, and I know this through the power of Twitter. They don't live here near me, but maybe one day I'll find one. There are hot girls out there that like pro wrestling and MMA. You just gotta fucking dig down there to find them.
All you gotta do is go on at New World Order, at Now World Order, sorry, on Steven's Twitter. And all you got to do is just click probably like the first 3 pictures that'll be there. Because you just have rows and rows of pictures of women who are interested in pro wrestling and MMA. And it seems like you kind of figure that part out. But there's some dudes out there who just sitting up there watching YouPorn all day, playing video games. And as soon as one girl says hello out in the real world, they're like, or I don't know what to do. So it's, for that dude out there, like, a lot of people don't understand, like, rejection makes you stronger. Rejection makes you give 0 fucks. And when that happens, that actually makes it so that you don't have that weird creep factor when you actually meet a girl that you are interested in. So if you stay in your hole watching new porn and playing video games all day, guess what? Even if you do have that opportunity where someone's kind of a match, you're going to weird her out.
You know who's you just described? It's homie from last episode with the socks and sandals on.
Oh, yeah, that's my boy.
Same as that guy.
Yeah.
Armchair quarterback from his beanbag chair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that guy, one day, some chick's going to be like, let's do this, and he's going to be like, and you know what? He's going to trade that beanbag chair for a pair of khakis.
Yeah.
And he's going to stop playing his Xbox, and he's going to take life more seriously. And then the cool motherfucker that with the fanny pack and the fucking keeping it real all the time in his jean shorts and his everything else we talked about, that guy's he's gonna completely change. And I hope that he doesn't. This is for all those guys out there that we're describing. Don't ever change what you enjoy thoroughly for a girl, because it is not worth it. I've done it before. It is not worth it.
Well, you can't keep it up. It won't last. Rogan said this one time, and I always thought it was the best advice. For a man, if you ever want to know what to strive to be, what to become, be that guy when you're on the date, when you're on that first date. You're the best version of yourself because you want it to work so well. It's like you're on, you are the most awesome dude on those first dates or two. Like, you can be that guy. Strive to be that guy. And because that guy is awesome. And then when that starts kind of fading down, that's when all the real stuff starts coming in about that personality, that flaws. You know how you clean up your place right before girl comes over because you think you're going to get lucky, but 364 days out of the year, it just smells like shit. There's clothes everywhere and stuff like that. But you're doing your best version of yourself because you're trying to get some. And so that dude that you're trying to be on those couple of dates, become that guy. Be that guy. Be the hero of your own movie. And that was like I think the best thing that I've heard from like Rogan's podcast of what to strive for.
Yeah, because it's far too easy to be that guy on date 1 when you come back and your place is spotless, and then date 2 you open your door and marijuana clouds start flying out of windows, and then those girls might start thinking differently of you. That's happened to me also a few times.
Or they'll be intrigued and be like, "We could have shared everything earlier."
Yeah, dude, that's a whole nother topic for probably another show. But like, I can't believe there are still girls out there that like are offended by like people who smoke pot. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I've had that happen a few times where like everything was going great, then like I mentioned like wanting to like smoke a bowl or something, allegedly, for all you asshole listeners out there. And then like, their perspective changed. Oh, you're fucking lazy, you're a pothead. And I'm like, you fucking loved me before you knew this. And like this doesn't change anything. It's just something I do for 5 minutes out of the day. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous that anyone even cares.
Yeah, there's this correlation of pot when it comes to being lazy is just such a bad misnomer. But that's the tag of the Reefer Madness days that have kind of put it on there. They kind of have this scare tactic that, you're going to be crawling up the walls and want to shoot your friends. bite people's faces off. You know, it's like, no, that's bath salt.
Tobacco plants. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There is this real fear of altered states of consciousness, and it's not like even marijuana does that to you, but there's this real fear, especially when you group everything in the one category of drugs. Drugs are bad, and it's just like there's some that are ones that can enhance someone's life or make them have a different perspective of things, and there's some that'll destroy you. You know, and so kind of education needs to be the thing that happens there. But you know, I've had that happen too, you know, just like you think something's cool and you bring up a topic about marijuana or anything like that, and it's just like, whoa, wait a minute, you know, I didn't know you were like this and this and that, and the whole kind of like demeanor changes. And I wonder if legalization will change people's outlook on it. Will we have less of those interactions, you know, when you're dating a girl and, you know, they like how you say it, smoke a bowl, and, you know, that whole dynamic changes. I wonder if it's just the legal thing is the reason why.
I think that's a big, I think that's the biggest part of it.
Right.
I think that's probably 90% of it. You know, also, like, just the fact that, like, when you go through school, it's like, you know, you're always taught it's a bad thing. They're absolutely bad at all. For me, anyone who doesn't know, like, my mom had cancer for 5 years. I was younger, and she eventually passed away from it. And I firsthand saw that the medicinal value of marijuana, like, for cancer patients. So if for no reason, I knew from a young age that this wasn't hurting anybody. So there's always that. Like, the crazy thing is those same people that, like, will get on your ass and judge you for smoke, like you to smoke marijuana or cannabis or weed, whatever you want to call it. Those same people, a lot of them, have no problem with Xanax, have no problem with Adderall, have no problem with, you know, basically, I mean, things that are a trillion times worse for you than marijuana ever will be. But the fact that they can get that from a doctor and it's quote unquote legal, even if you're not prescribed it, they still feel, well, it's not an illegal drug. Well, it is illegal if you're not the one on the fucking description on the bottle. But it should be legal. Like, no one should be taking fucking Xanax. I mean, very, very rare cases like that are extreme. I understand needing medicine like that. I'm not saying it's completely pointless or completely ineffective, but it just baffles me that kind of stuff can be just written off like, well, it's legal, you know, it can't be that bad for you. And I'm over here like, you can't give me enough money to take Xanax because I know how fucking bad it is.
Dude, I have two friends that I've experienced with where they were on Xanax, and like my first friend, he had one, and we went out to this club, and he was just a zombie. He was falling all over the place. He was just kind of in the corner going to sleep, and he took a half. And I'm just like, wow, this is intense. Like, you know, I've never had Xanax myself there, but right there, I looked at that. I'm just like, man, that's something serious. And then I had another friend who got with this crazy girlfriend. Oh my God, this girl was nuts. Something about he loved the sex was amazing. I guess psychotic and erotic are next door neighbors because this girl was crazy. And so apparently she was like stealing from their family, taking more stealing their Xanax, and she got into a car accident doing a U-turn because she just kind of zoomed out on Xanax. And like the car flipped like twice, and she's still going in. I'm just like, you know, maybe you want to rethink this. And she has a problem with pot. It's just like, you got into a car accident over some legal prescription drug, you know. And, you know, the worst I've ever heard happen, you know, you eat a little bit and you watch a movie, you know.
Yeah, but I just say the worst thing that can happen is you eat too much Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I have taken my fair share of Xanax and other pills along those lines, like Klonopin and anti-anxiety medicine and that kind of stuff. Like I've tried a lot of it, but for no other reason, just to see what the big deal was all about. And I'll tell you firsthand, man, like no one without prescription should be taking Xanax. Because I'll tell you, for one, it does make you feel as good as advertised. Like, that's a scary thing. Like, it actually works. But if you take that and drink alcohol, like what you just described with your buddy, you legitimately black out. Like, you don't know. I've been out at bars before and been kicked out of bars on that. I mean, I was around people that I knew that weren't on it, and I was the only one on it. But they would tell me afterwards, like, yeah, man, like, you were walking into shit. I mean, you looked completely way. I'm like, you don't even remember it. So there's people doing that every day that are taking it orally, that snorting it.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said every day. I was agreeing. Yeah, there's people out there doing that every day.
I have a really good friend out here who he's completely sober now, and he's been sober for like, I think, close to 2 years now. But he was how you were talking about your friend, like, he was stealing from people, people like his best friends, like, and he would cry about it. He felt terrible about it. Like, he didn't want to do it.
Same here. Yeah, she felt terrible.
Yeah, he was so addicted that all he cared about was getting another fucking pill into him. And I don't know exactly what the turning point was, but he wound up going to rehab and the whole deal. And he won't even go into a bar anymore. Like, he cut out alcohol, he cut out everything. And nowadays, he's the greatest guy you can possibly be around. Like, he's one of the genuinely nicest people I've ever met. And I'm glad to see this guy turn his life around. Yeah. But there was a time period there where, I mean, he couldn't even be trusted.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. Crazy.
Gotta get it. Oh, man. I hear Ambien is another one of those that are kind of like you have these blackout phases. Like, Ambien's supposed to be some type of sleep aid.
Yeah. I've never taken Ambien, mainly because I don't see the appeal in feeling like you're asleep when you're awake.
Well, one thing I want to ask you about, you talked about how you firsthand saw the positive effects of medicinal marijuana with your mother who had cancer. And can you kind of describe some of the good effects that you saw that kind of helped? Yeah,
and I'll preface this by saying she never smoked in front of me. For anyone who thinks that, like, she was a bad parent or something like that, I just knew because after a certain while, I recognized the smell from coming from a room, and my dad smartened me up to what was going on. And she was sick. She was very sick. And marijuana wasn't legal by state law where I was, but she was told by a doctor, like, hey, if you happen to come across it, wink, wink, like, this will help you. Like, she was told by a doctor that it was going to help.
Yeah.
And she, basically the difference is I would see her in a bed, way lighter than she was when she was healthy, no hair, just miserable. The sweetest woman ever. She's my hero. I love her to death.
Right.
But there's a 5-year span there where, she was basically a vegetable for the last couple of years where, like, nothing was helping.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to deal with, especially at a young age. But then you'd see, I'd know that was happening. Like, I'd smell the smells coming from the bedroom. And then she comes out and she's got a smile on her face. She's hungry, like, which doesn't happen when you're going through intense chemotherapy. Like, you're always nauseated. So, like, you can't eat. Like, you're never happy. You're just basically just trying to sleep all day because that's the only way that you don't feel it. And I can tell you right now, firsthand, like, I've seen it help. I've absolutely seen it help.
Wow.
So, so anyone who says that it doesn't help, maybe it doesn't help everybody, but it helps some people at the very least. And you shouldn't ever deny people with terminal illness something that's going to help them, especially something that does not harm them at all. Like, I've seen it work on neurological patients. One of the most inhuman fucking videos I've ever seen in my life was what was that asshole who just ran for president? Just he lost to Obama, the super Republican guy.
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video of him talking to the dude in the wheelchair?
Yes.
Like, what the fuck is that? Like this guy is like, I don't know what he had. It was probably something along the lines of Parkinson's, some sort of neurological disorder, and he was all cramped up. But when he smoked weed, he wasn't. And, like, his voice, like, when you have those kind of problems, your neck muscles and mouth muscles will tense up, and you can't communicate well. This guy sounded normal. He looked normal. He was in a wheelchair, but everything else looked fine. And he asked Mitt Romney straight up, if you saw me smoking weed, would you arrest me? And he was like, I don't condone the legalization of marijuana. And just like walks right past him. And you're like, what the fuck, dude? This clearly it worked on this guy. How can you say that to him? How can you deny someone a better value in their own life?
That's
because you don't agree with the legalization of a plant.
Well, my friend, that was a huge cover-up, okay? That was just a drug dealer in a wheelchair pretending, okay?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's a patch him. Yeah, that was bust.
Yeah. He went ahead and got a wheelchair, you know. Well, he went down to the Rascal store and just shook a little bit there. He's just a hippie trying to get high.
Yeah, I mean, it's so what happens when you see those documentaries, and you know, there's patients with doctor prescriptions going to dispensaries that are run by doctors, and they walk in and they buy it, and the FBI fucking arrests them. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, why are we spending time and money on this? Why are you locking up people for taking medicine? It makes absolutely no sense when there's so much other fucked up stuff going on in our world that's something people focus their time, energy, and money into. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a big topic here because Florida is coming up on the ballot for medical marijuana, and Vice just put something up on. They sent me on Facebook is that people opposing marijuana in Florida are hypocrites acting in naked self-interest. The cynical and weird hypocrisy of Florida's marijuana opponents. And basically, for listeners that don't know out there, that the police officers and police officers are like lobbying against it because they want us. They're afraid that it is legal, that they're going to lose their jobs. It's not has to do anything about the health. The medical use or anything like that. They're lobbying against it because it's big business going after criminals for marijuana. And when people don't understand how much employment and how much investment is into locking people up with this here, that's a whole lot of people out of a job if it's legal. And so they're actually lobbying against it for that purpose. And that's kind of strange that the bureaucracy part is the reason what's holding it back, and it has nothing to do with the health or people's well-being or anything like that. And in your case, where it helped your mother and you were able to see her upright and, you know, being able to eat and things like that. And the fact that that's not being taken into consideration, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, there's financial stake in, you know, the police officers in prisons have a quota just like any sales job. They're making more money if there are more money in jail. It's a fact. And then they'd have to admit they were wrong also. They'd have to admit, well, you're right, we shouldn't have locked you up for the last 5 years for this. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, just going to make them look stupid. But another thing with Florida, you know, I hope that they legalize it. I hope every single state legalizes it. I think it'll take longer in the South for like religious reasons, which is a whole other ridiculous thing. But like, you know, Florida though, that's going to be interesting because they've got to be number one in the country for prescription drugs with all the seniors and the retired people that go down there and all the people living near beaches and stuff. Like, they've got to be number one in prescription drugs.
Well, according to the documentary OxyContin Express, Florida distributes more OxyContin than all states combined. There's a big documentary called the OxyContin Express. Definitely check that out. But apparently there's a lot of pain clinics in Florida where you can come in, you see a doctor, oh, my back hurts, whatever. They give you a prescription, and right next door they have a pharmacy just to take care of those. And people are driving from Ohio to Florida to buy in bulk, and like that's legal drug dealing.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's. I guess I was right. I mean, I just from the short time that I lived in Florida, I realized fast, like, there were a lot of people on prescription drugs, like especially in the line of work that we were doing, where we were dealing with people with not a lot of money, but they were always angry and shit. Like, I dealt with a lot of people that looked completely zonked out when I was talking to them. And our line of work was a respectable job. I'm not talking like for anyone who doesn't know, it was retail sales, but like we were dealing with people who would not pay their bills on time or if ever, and they were always angry, and a lot of them were on drugs. So.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a great book called High Price by Dr. Carl Hart. He was on Rogan's podcast, and he was a guy who he grew up in the hood of Miami and Dade County, and he became like the world's best neuroscientist. And he all started because he grew up in the 80s around the crack epidemic, and he became a scientist because he wanted to figure out the reasons why and how crack destroyed his neighborhood. And he was a guy that was completely against all drugs. And the more research that he did on lab rats and things like that, he, which is a very radical idea. See the book, I'm just quoting kind of what he said there. He found out in his tests that the previous test that they used when they were testing crack was they would put a rat in, and they would have like this type of liquid of cocaine would be in their drink, and they would pull a lever and they would get it. So the way that they used to do the test, this is what he found out, that they would just give them that, and they would keep hitting the lever until they overdosed. And they said, highly addictive. And they labeled it that way because that kept happening. So what he did was he changed the experiment. He goes, well, let's simulate this a little bit more with real life. Let's present the rat with options. So in one, they had the lever with the cocaine. The second syringe, they had just water. The third one, they had food. And only 10% of the time did the rat actually pick the one with cocaine. And so he was very against what he had heard, very against research that he had saw in the past. And so he actually tested it out on humans. He took people who spent more than $300 a week on crack cocaine, highly labeled as highly addictive addicts. All right. And he made it so that they signed a waiver and everything like that. They wouldn't get arrested, giving them high quality cocaine, government cocaine. And they would come in, and he would give them just like the rat options. And these were the options he gave them. He gave them, they could either have the cocaine, they could have the food, or $20. The results were the same. 10% only pick the cocaine, and these are people that were highly addictive. More people picked the $20. And he thought like maybe it's too high of a value, so he actually lowered the amount to $10. And the results, they were skewed a little bit. It made it to like 15%. And so it really changed the way that he thought addiction worked. And he more found out it was about the circumstances as far as the upbringing and what your reward system is like when you deal with stress that actually had to do with addiction than actually the drug itself. And he tested this with a lot of different ones. And keep in mind, I'm not an advocate of cocaine. I'm not an advocate of crack. I've never tried any of those there. I'm just saying that his book kind of showed the ignorance of what we talk about when it comes to addiction. And this guy is the best neuroscientist in the world. Me, I'm a dummy with a podcast, okay? This guy right here, he teaches at Berkeley. His name is Dr. Carl Hart. But read his book called High Price. And he talks about his path of becoming a neuroscientist and also his drug research. And another thing that's interesting about this book that actually is separately related from drugs is that he talks about him becoming a neuroscientist because he grew up in the hood and he was actually highly intelligent, but he didn't have the right vernacular when he went to college. He had this street vernacular. So everybody thought he was dumb. He had dreads and gold teeth, and he's this highly intelligent man that couldn't express his intelligence, and people wrote him off as being very ignorant. So he had to relearn the English language just in order to exist in this world. And he kind of shows how vocabulary does not correlate to intelligence, but a lot of us judge that way.
Yeah, that experiment sounds pretty incredible. Like, I would agree 100% with the thought behind that, though, that, you know, it isn't necessarily the drug, it's your circumstances that are, you know, like, what are you doing to feel better? Like, right. Would you want to get high, or do you want a little bit more money? Because then maybe you'll feel better because you won't be hungry. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a brilliant experiment. I'm glad that guy did that.
Right. And then he also answered all the critics. You can also see his debates on YouTube. He goes on these shows, and people are questioning him everything. They were like, well, what happened was they took the $20 and they wouldn't go buy crack later. They actually tracked the people, and knowingly they were tracked. And they did not go to other places there. And so because that was one of the things they thought would throw their experiment off there. But it's a very good read. It's very eye-opening, and it kind of, you need to release your views of what you think about addiction and things like that. But it's interesting also the different types of personalities and things that he found of these people that were supposedly highly addictive. But anyways, man, I think we just breezed through this. We're reaching our hour in here.
Oh wow, that was quick.
That went by fast there. So I'm about to get to my part of shout-outs, but do you have anything you want to plug before I get to that?
Wow, I was going to think about it, but I'll just, check out my YouTube channel. It's at NOW_WORLD_ORDER at now_world_order. My Twitter is the same. I'll just take the time to thank, I believe I have around 30 YouTube subscribers, and I just today hit 12,000 followers on Twitter, so a lot of people checking that out, and continue to, please. I really appreciate it. I'll plug, once again, right after this podcast, and while y'all are either listening to this or before you listen to it, I'm not sure, I'll be watching WWE Monday Night Raw, so check that out. We will definitely see Hulk Hogan. We may see the Outsiders, Hall and Nash, in a New World Order reunion. Obviously, my Twitter handle and YouTube page is a play on words of that at Now World Order, so obviously a big fan. We got some good UFC coming up soon, but I'm sure we'll talk about that on this podcast before that happens. And go ahead and do your shout-outs. I'm going to find someone on Twitter to plug.
All right. Yeah, they definitely deserve it. Get someone good there. So we got some new followers. Want to make sure I give them a shout-out. We have Lizzie Battle at Lizzie_Battle16. She says she's a nice person and caring. Well, that's what she says. Someone puts that up there. I guess I'll believe them. I know I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to do my best, and then I'll spell it out. I think it's Ms. Khaleesi, MZCELIT. You can follow her at Khaleesi Hartgrove at CELISEHARTGROVE. One thing that I like about her is that she likes pens. She brought a good argument. I always ask people if they like pencils or pens better, and she said pens, and normally I'm a pencil dude, but she brought a good argument. So she also has a blog, so make sure you take a look at her blog and you follow her. We have Ellie here. You can follow her. Man, this is a great name. At Ass Kicker, but with one S. So ASKICKER. And Nick Stallworth at Nick3306. And I think that's a long underscore. Okay. But those are our new followers. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Also, I like to call these our ride or die people here who are big fans of the podcast. Here is, we have Stone Shaman. I always give him a shout out. He's been a fan of us early. And my last one, I know her name, but I just want to get to her Twitter. She's always telling people to follow me, follow the podcast. So I got to give her some love here. It is Caprice Metamorphosis. Oh, she's got a new picture here, black and white. Beautiful. At Caprice_love717. I see you. Please, I love the love out there. I'm telling you, I know I haven't talked to you in a while here, but I appreciate it every time. My phone blows up when you give us retweets and follows on there, telling people us to follow. So thank you so much, and keep supporting the podcast. So you got their names there for you? There? Yeah,
I'll actually plug a girl this week on Twitter. She's always interacting on my Twitter page, and she's always sending in good pictures and stuff. She's really beautiful, and she's an ex-wrestling fan that I'm trying to get back into it. It's at EDENMCCOY. That's at Eden McCoy. And check her out on Twitter. She's super cool and super good looking. Also, one more thing I just came across. I don't see it confirmed yet, but I have it on good word from someone that works in the industry of mixed martial arts that Gina Carano has just signed with Bellator MMA, which is huge.
Breaking news. You heard it first on the podcast, unless you're listening to this a day later. But if you're a
shout out
fan,
to Scott Coker, the new owner of Bellator. He took it over recently from Bjorn Rebney. He used to own Strikeforce. He's worked for the UFC before. He's a big boxing promoter. Really, really smart guy. Humongous move if they actually just sign Gina Carano.
And remember, guys, if you like this podcast, you're going to love Steven's YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. Now World Order. Make sure you do that there. One more time. Tell them your Twitter handle. One more time.
At NOW_WORLD_ORDER at now_world_order.
If you follow him, all your dreams will come true. All right, then. Well, that concludes the podcast for today. We'll have another one out for you. Thank you so much. We love doing this. We love the fans there, and we're a work in progress. I think we're getting better and better. I like this one here. But please send us any feedback and follow Steven and follow us at Think Deep Podcast with 1P. Think Deep Podcast with 1P. And I'll have this up soon. All right, guys.